Losing the job did not happen loudly. There was no dramatic dismissal, no slammed doors. It happened quietly, through fewer responsibilities, delayed payments, sideways glances that said you no longer belong here. One morning, the boy stood at the gate of the office and realized he was already outside, even though no one had formally pushed him out. The walk home that day felt different, slower. He counted his steps, not because he was tired, but because he was afraid of what waited at the end of the road. Home had always been poor, but now it felt fragile. His family looked at him with a mix of hope and worry, the kind that weighs heavier than anger. No one blamed him. That was the worst part. Days turned into weeks. Mornings arrived without purpose. The alarm still rang, but there was nowhere urgent to be. For a boy raised by routine, the emptiness was suffocating. He tried asking for work. Old contacts ignored him. Seniors who once barked orders now pretended not to remember his name. Talent without position meant nothing. At night, doubt spoke clearly. It asked if he had mistaken endurance for progress. If loyalty had blinded him. If he had been naive enough to believe hard work alone could save him. These thoughts dug deeper than hunger ever had. Yet, beneath the fear, something stubborn remained. He began reviewing old drawings, not for anyone else but for himself. Correcting mistakes he once overlooked. Reimagining structures he had helped execute but never designed. He remembered his boss's voice, calm and steady, reminding him that mastery begins when no one is watching. So he worked in silence. With no office to return to, the boy turned the world into his classroom. He studied buildings as he walked, how shadows fell, how walls aged, where cracks formed. He borrowed books, watched tutorials on borrowed devices, practiced designs late into the night, redrawing until lines felt alive. There was no applause, no encouragement, just persistence. Money was scarce. Pride had to bend. He took small jobs others rejected. Measurements, revisions, errands. Some clients doubted him the moment they saw his worn shoes. Others tried to underpay him, testing how desperate he was. He learned to negotiate, to stand his ground without arrogance. Each small win stitched confidence back into his spine. Failure came often. Designs rejected. Proposals ignored. Mistakes that cost him time and trust. But unlike before, no one shouted. No one humiliated him. The pain was his alone, and so was the growth. One evening, after completing a modest design that was actually approved, he sat quietly and stared at the screen. It wasn't grand. It wasn't celebrated. But it was his. For the first time, something had been built entirely by his hands and mind. He realized then that his journey had shifted. He was no longer waiting to be chosen. He was choosing himself. Change did not announce itself. It whispered. People began to notice consistency. A drawing shared here. A recommendation passed quietly there. His name started appearing in conversations he wasn't part of. Not loudly but enough. Enough to matter. He still walked long distances. Still woke early. Still fought doubt. But now each step carried direction. Each sacrifice had intention. The boy who once endured was becoming a man who decided. He understood now that loss had stripped him, but not to destroy him, to reveal what remained when support disappeared. Skill, discipline, hunger, and a quiet fire that refused extinction. Standing at the edge of something new, he didn't feel ready, but he finally felt capable.